Hello everybody. Yeah, sorry for the slight delay. I was trying to see what may or may not be going on with ETHE, because obviously we're having this bounce, but on the ETHE chart there was this little news that the SEC institutes proceedings on Grayscale spot ETHE ETF pushing deadline, but then the news wasn't showing up, so I was wondering if it was fake news. No, it is still actually on the Cointelegraph website, but for whatever reason the link is broken. So it's pushed its decision, opening to public comment. Nothing very exciting, just public comment. So probably not to do with this bounce. But also from the earlier analysis we had, not perfect, but yeah, as to what I thought that CME would come down into this gap area. There was an 8-hour demand, but it hasn't quite filled the gap, but obviously has filled it to at least the probably the daily level in there. Similarly, this US dollar pair just dropped to just at 39500, which was basically what I was saying earlier, that it was a 300 gap and that this could make just a higher low off here, but I still preferred it in this zone. So yeah, we've kind of had half of that play out. We've now also got 8-hour supply on Korea. It's fighting with the local demand. We've got 8-hour demand on US dollar tether dominance, and then 4-hour supply on the US dollar pair, and just a bit of a mess on the CME pair. So yeah, we just need to see if we're going to reject here, or if we run through, then we'll play that as and when it happens. But at the moment it's coming back down. I was also having a look at some of the data, so from Coinalize. So this is the Bybit chart, mainly because I wanted to see what the CVD was looking like. But so yeah, we've got an aggregated spot CVD which is going up, and then CVD futures aggregated is going up, but not very strongly relative to how much it's lost. But what we have got is also just falling open interest, which is why I looked at Bybit specifically. Binance not showing anything different, it's just to look at the different CVDs. Why I changed this chart, all the aggregated remain the same. There's certainly some buying going on in Binance, but not in Coinbase really. So Coinbase again was of interest because it had a few, so you can see here these sort of dumps that were happening yesterday when Grayscale started supposedly dumping towards the end of the day, around this time actually. So but it hasn't really had any buying since then, even though you can see lower time frames it's just really dropping. So there's still some selling going on on Coinbase, but Binance has picked up. And then XO charts, just to look at Bybit's net longs and shorts if it decides to load. I've just got too much open on my computer. Looks like it's not going to load, but this basically was just showing the shorts were dropping on Bybit. Like there were some longs going in, but not many. And yeah, so for the most part, shorts were just dropping, and hence you're finding the open interest is dropping. I didn't actually look at BitMEX. Let's see if things are just going to not load for me now. Oh, look, we're getting a load. XO is just quite, I think, data heavy, so it's one of the ones that can be ropey on loading. So again, this is much higher time frames. I think we can only go down to the hourly on this. This is just BitMEX. Yeah, still saying order flow is a sell, and we're not exactly seeing significant buying going on and OI going up, while price is going up. So certainly this whole run since the low, OI has just dropped, so a lot of it's just been short hunting and not really new longs going in. So not massively promising. ETHE, as I said, I thought this would come down and break the lows. It hasn't broken the lows. It's actually just by a hair made a higher low. So again, I'll kind of revisit this later, but I still feel like this should go lower, and I still feel like Bitcoin is, I'm not sure how real that run was, but you know, we are holding this 8-hour demand. And Bitcoin can just go even when you expect the structures are looking nasty. But we're now seeing some shorts coming in. So anyway, that was just a quick update on those, just because we were having a little mini run. Old majors. EOS, I think, was first on my list. It doesn't have to be first on my list, but it's the top left, so why not? Yeah, so not much new coming down, short bias because we're coming off 3-month supply, with the only disclaimer in that I showed last time, I did an update on this, that we are at the macro lows based on the full chart. However, we have also just rejected monthly supply there, so we now just need to see if this is going to make a higher low and hold that low. But the structure here is obviously still down, it has been down since 2018, yeah, so not much else on EOS on the macro. But from the lower time frames, yeah, I've still got the alert on this 3-week down here. I still don't really want to kind of do anything else. I think, you know, it is in a 3-week demand here, but given the repeated tests and how deep we're coming, it's not something I particularly like. It's very possible it's going to make a weekly supply unless we get a bounce prior, which we might. We now have a 3-day supply on this, and again, similar to Bitcoin, like I think even when I look back at these after the last, like I said on my last update, I think that I thought all these would make I thought all these would make a 2-day supply, and they've all made 3-day supplies, which have now all converted to 3-day supplies. But the same as Bitcoin, is I think there's a chance that they'll run through this local one and go higher in the zone, because it's just too convenient to stop hunt in here. Plus, at the moment, it's not a strong supply, and we're too close to demand. So I'm keeping the alert on this at least. I'll look at some of the others as we go, but slightly more conservative. And then obviously, if we do have some sort of significant run, we could go up there. Just looking back at some of these older structures, I was looking at this on Ripple earlier, just to see how similar these tops are to sort of tops we've had previously. That one's kind of interesting. Rejecting at the same level there. Anyway, yeah, so nothing new to report on EOS. It's on your head if you want to long this. Obviously it's had a decent candle off the low, but for me it's not worth longing. There's a lot better things you can long out there. Rather wait for the short to come in. Hold on, let's just do a quick look at the EOS BTC. See if that's got anything that I've forgotten about. Not particularly. It's possible going to create monthly supply there at that brown line, and we have weekly supply above, which hasn't been tested yet, but you know, may have already come off this, but still very clearly in a downtrend of death. You know, at some point it might do this for sure, but not right now. Not something I want to look at. Not with weekly supply right there. Back to the US dollar chart. Litecoin. Yeah, I think this is going to have nothing new on it either. Like, so we still got this 2-month demand that has been holding for a while. We did get a wick through it here into the monthly below, and therefore, you know, I was looking for longs here, but we just didn't get very far, and we still remain having not got very far. My foolish long entry there obviously failed. Where are we on the 3 week? So like quite a long way till the 3 week. Like I said, it was foolish because we had 2 week supply right there. Oh, we've got a 3 week level there. Okay, we are still in 3 week demand, although we've run through it previously. Yeah, so it's just a messy. I should have stuck with my short bias at this point because we'd rejected weekly supply and then we came back and rejected it on the 2 week. And now on this we also have 3 day supply. Oh, I can see now Bitcoin's just been thrown off a cliff again, not overly surprising. Thrown off a cliff on the low time frame, should I say, not exactly. ETH is alright though. But yeah, Bitcoin's being chucked down there. Anyway. So yeah, Litecoin, 3 day supply in there, not a strong one. So just choppy in range. It did reject actually immediately off the 2 day there at that level already. So yeah, I just want to see this go lower. And I'm fairly sure the BTC pair didn't have anything to add on this either. It actually wasn't a bad bounce on the BTC pair at the start of the year on this attractive trend line we have. And the other thing is, I think I told everyone to check what Grayscale was doing, so maybe I'll just have a look at that myself because I haven't. So you can see he's got all these bounces and rejections where we would expect on Bitcoin. Well, it's now starting to go back up again. It's just being, I think just the volume on Bitcoin is very low at the moment. So quick look at what LTCN is doing. So we came off 2 month supply at the highs, so I would still expect this to head down to the 3 month level down here. Might just obviously take some time to do that. So this would be a sort of sell the retest scenario for me, to at least get it down to here, if not lower. So it is kind of coming through that local supply, so there's a 2 day at the top there. But yeah, it's just fumbling around with this 2 day supply here at the moment. It's tested it once and held, and it's testing it again and holding. So I could start moving up again here, but yeah, I think this just needs a bigger retracement now. That's a fairly significant move up that it's done. And it's Litecoin, so God knows why anyone's buying it anyway. Golden fib zone would be down there, so yeah, I kind of want lower on that, so this is not making me want to long Litecoin, and BCH is not dissimilar, so we've got, just looking at this now before I go back there, so we had a 3 month level there, and we've got a 3 month demand in here now. We came off just below the 3 month level, but in monthly supply. 2 week, weekly, 3 day, so obviously now it's testing a 3 day. Again, expect this to move lower. So those don't make me overly confident about longing the market. GBC still just holding the same level. ETHE Grayscale is slightly interesting. It's the first test on a weekly level here, so worth keeping an eye on that, see if it preempts any move up. And the large caps also are at support, coming off monthly supply, and again, still would prefer them down here. But doesn't mean we're not going to get a bounce in the interim. But yeah, keep an eye on these, because if these start moving, it might be an indicator for the rest of the market to start moving. Anyway, back to Litecoin. So LTC BTC. If we can get through, you can keep an eye on this. If we get through this weekly and up to that weekly and flip this to demand, great. But at the moment we haven't. Having said that, it is holding and it's not looking horrendous in the grand scheme, mainly because Bitcoin dropped significantly more and Litecoin dropped earlier. What else? Just check with my Okay, sorry. Just checking. I didn't have any chat I needed to deal with. Yeah, so again, like, there's no longs on this I want, I think, until we get all the way down here. If we get all the way down there, should I say. Let me look at the bigger picture again. Yeah, so what's making me really nervous on... So it's difficult because, so obviously we're still in an uptrend. I know this is an annual demand here. But this is just starting to look really nasty. And I mean, perhaps it's just because nobody's interested in the old majors anymore. Which could be very right. And it's not dissimilar with Ripple, which I'll get to shortly, but it's just starting to break this trend line. It's been so weak off this third bounce. But, you know, I mean, and it's difficult because, you know, it probably wouldn't have looked great here. I suppose it was at least holding and making slight highs there before the massive pump. That's a long time ago now. I suppose even here, maybe it looks slightly ropey before having pulled out a random move. But yeah, I'm not loving the structure on this. And where would I look for a long? Okay, obviously I've got an alert down here, so there's a 3-day demand down the bottom there. It's been really far too long, but you know, it is the start of this last up move, so it's worth watching. And it could hold this trend line again if we get down there, but that's a long way away. But other than that, this is just far too wicky and all the zones have been retested already, so unless I get something new and exciting to look at, this is not anything I want along. Okay, moving on, Ripple. So we had our heavy short bias swing in monthly supply up there, or is it 2 month? I can't remember. It's monthly, was the 2 month a bit higher? Okay, so it's 2 month in here, and we did come all the way up into there in the dashed line. I think again the problem I have with this, take my mess off it. You know, are we ever going to get another one of these? Maybe we will, but it was a long time. So July 2018 to January 2021, what's that, 2.5 years before a move, and here we've got July 2022, so you know, maybe January 2025 around here, if we follow the same sort of patterns. Sorry to say. But yeah, when I was looking at this earlier, and this is a very, very tough one, and I'm long biased but not. So we've come off this monthly supply, we swing failed it, and now we've rejected zones right inside it. What we do have is 3 month demand. So we've got this 3 month demand, went up, made a new 3 month demand, and we're testing it again. The thing that really throws it off is this enormous wick, but then, you know, I guess we had an enormous wick here, and then we managed to close near the top of that wick, so, and then throw another enormous wick. It's kind of interesting, so the wick was obviously going to the top of this, and then this wick was near enough to the top of that as well. But anyway, yeah, so while I want to be long biased because we're in 3 monthly zones, I'm conscious we haven't tested this one. And also I'm just conscious they're not exactly significant moves off monthly zones, 3 monthly zones off the 3 months. Go and look at the monthly. So again, like I've still, this monthly demand, I've got like an alert there, still third time lucky, because it hit the alert once and then it hit it again here, but didn't quite test this zone. So I would still watch for a swing failure under there, and if you want to put stink bids in at, you know, 0.405, feel free. But I just think this is starting like if I ignore the fact we have 3 month demand, I'm just starting to think that this is looking really ugly. It's just looking like a really nasty correction, and then this monthly candle's looking particularly hideous. You know, it's now not made a higher, so at least we had higher highs here, and it's not made a higher high, so this 3 month demand isn't strong that we're currently on. And we are tapping down, we're about to tap down into that 3 months, so it's possible we get a bounce off this level. So what's that, 0.48? So if we do take out the low of the month, low of the 3 month, or even the low of the previous candle, so I mean really on all these majors you just need to be looking for swing failures because the demand just isn't clear enough. Alternatively, we wait till all the way down here. So that's my next entry, and then 0.48. Like other than that, you know, we've got the monthly demand, which had already tested and has come back now for a rounded retest. But it's starting to look suspiciously like it wants to break the trend line. We have 3-week supply, 2-week supply up here. So I think on the log scale it's broken the upper trend line. On the linear scale it's still sort of potentially fighting with it, or then may close below on the 3-week candle. I might not be quite in the right place for the 3-week. Let me have a look. Just looks worse, significantly worse on the 3-week. On the weekly, I guess it's still holding, but it's a stretch. So yeah, I've still got the same 2 alerts on this that I've had previously up at the 3-week, and then this 4-5 day kind of zone inside the weekly here. And again, that would be stronger if this candle breaks down further before retesting. The other thing, like I said, I was looking at before, let me go back onto the log scale, was again the similarities here. So obviously on a significantly smaller scale, you know, we had a big push up, second push up, hit support again, just couldn't make it before diving off. You know, and again, I'm just sort of comparing here, that big push up. I mean, the previous PA is somewhat different, but they're not that different, but just on a much smaller scale. First push up, second push up, unable to make a higher high. Coming back down and testing this zone again. So while we might get this final push, I can very much see this crashing off a trend line, quite honestly. Again, not dissimilar to that section. Yeah, so I certainly wouldn't be holding any of this. So yeah, the alerts that I have initially is that 1 month, 3rd time lucky, so sort of somewhere around under here if it can take out some of these stops into that monthly level. 0.4, I mean the short term you can look at 0.48, or just taking out some of these lows. But 0.48 is a possibility, but like I said, the wicks is just messy now. Then here would be the monthly zone, but bear in mind this is a zone and a reasonably large zone, so then it's got a daily and a 3-day inside that. So, but like I say, be really conscious. This is looking like an impulse, and then correction, correction, correction. Would not surprise me in the slightest on Ripple. But anyway, we'll trade what we see on the lower time frames until that does or doesn't transpire. And again, the Bitcoin pair is just up down within a range, isn't it? But again, lower highs, stop hunt of the highs, now stop hunt of the lows and of these lows. So again, you can hold wait and see if this gets a test and then another move. But this again, I really want lower at this point, I think. And then, like I said previously, I've put an alert here just to keep an eye on it. It's made a new 3-month supply. And I've got a weird box in there. One of my boxes that's come back to life after being deleted, maybe. Boxes. Okay, so yeah, there's a 3-month supply right there. So even if it does get a bounce off this swing failure, I'm still probably expecting a rejection on that 3-month. Makes through the weekly below. So yeah, I have an alert set down here just to keep an eye on it. If it does get down there, not the most attractive triangle. On the plus side, you know, if it does hold here and go up again, then I do think it'll make a decent move. But the higher time frames are all telling me not. We had an annual supply. We had an annual, we came up and we swing failed it, and then we dropped below, and now we've rejected it on the second test. So I suppose ultimately I actually really do expect that to take out the low. Anyway, bigger picture. And the other thing is, I guess this for me means it's just not really that great from a market perspective. You know, like I normally use all these charts to tell me when we're going to stop a big move, particularly EOS. But if I can't say, let's go back to EOS, if I can't say where the bottom is, EOS maybe is actually a little bit cleaner, so there was still like a nasty wiki. It's a big 3-week zone and the 2-week zone inside it, so but those would be way to watch for that possible bounce. I don't really got to say possible because we're still in a downtrend, very significant downtrend here. Anyway, digress again. BCH. Obviously BCH is one of the charts that looks a little bit better because it had the big pump of, what was it, pro shares supposedly buying into it. I can't remember the exact news, but so we had an annual supply up here which got rejected and it came down, but it didn't make a lower low from here. So that would be ultimately the target, but now it hasn't. I mean, I guess there's a slight possibility it could take out that first, but that's a little bit too high time frame. We have a 3-month demand, rejected off a 3-month supply up here as well, and then we have a 3-month demand down at the base, so again that would be my preference. And I'm quite surprised BCH has stayed up here this long actually, so I've got an alert at the 2-month there, and then there's a 3-month inside it. Where are we, 3-month? So I want to actually put the 3-month level in here just in case it drops below, and then I see it start trying to make that as a resistance, because that would be a poor sign. The only thing with this, like in its favour, this again made monthly demand, but you remember I had an aggressive long entry in there, but that hasn't worked. Again, these shorts are off the lower high, so I'm looking, you know, a move up, drop, correction, possible further drop, something like that. That was the COVID dump. So I mean, ironically now things, I guess, probably to some extent are starting to look similar to that 2019 move that I've been comparing quite a lot on Ether and Bitcoin. The move, yeah, second test of resistance. I mean, obviously BCH is significantly stronger because of that news it had. You know, and then this also actually made what would have been a poor monthly demand, and then another monthly demand here, which it took out before moving up again. So I don't know, maybe we'll get something, you know, where like it doesn't have to go all the way back down here. It did because of the COVID drop in this case. So stink bid's 130, but I think I've got the more aggressive possible entry on a new weekly demand that's been made there, bearing in mind the weekly is not strong. So it's strong if it breaks the high, but that doesn't mean it's not going to make a sort of a larger triangle. So we've got my meme triangle in here at the moment actually, but you know, we could end up with something more relaxed triangle before. Again, I mean, it's taking a really long time since that initial move. Having said that, it is still holding. But per my thoughts on the Grayscale pair, I do think this needs to come lower first. Whether it's here or whether it's a massive drop to here, we'll see. So yeah, I wasn't massively keen on shorting this in monthly demand, and it's possible I'll regret that one. So let me just have a think about that. This 5 day has been holding a little bit of resistance, actually 4 day as support, sorry. You know, maybe this will hold and continue, I guess we'll see. But again, the structure's just not really nice. It's not nice to trade now. It's been far too long in this range, 6 months or so, and thus all the supply and demand just becomes weakened. suppose in this favour as it is sort of edging upwards, so maybe we will get something on this if Bitcoin can hold. So we've got a 2-day supply that's being tested now. I'm not averse to having this in here. Like, I don't necessarily think the market's ready for any enormous moves. So unless there's some secret BCH news that's going to pop out, I think that's okay to look at as a scalp, and as that if we get up to those zones. And then yeah, it's up to you whether you want to long around these levels where all the wicks are, because clearly it's being bought back from there, but the buybacks are still getting sold down quite heavily. But yeah, so my preference would be to look around the just below 200 still on this. It's not the world's best zone to short, but I'll leave the alert, and what will be will be. Hold on, let me just look at the BTC pair on this. Looked at this for a while, or is it just put on my drawings back again? No, my luck has put my drawings back again. Right. Maybe I've just forgotten to look at this the last few times I'm sure I must have deleted this, it's been ages. Some of these levels. Sorry, I just need to give me a moment to sort out what the hell's gone on with this chart. I am in the right place, but my layout is not. I can see the sensations. Okay, let me just have a look at the higher time frames on this. So my squeaky mouse when I do this. So don't give me anything on this on the 12 month, 6 month. 6 month we do have space to go higher actually, so I could see that happening. 3 month in 3 month demand. Delete some of these now then. I don't mind this so much. Certainly a lot better than any of the other BTC BTC pairs on majors. So I guess it's possible we just see it holding, even if we don't necessarily get the move up that we may want. So we get a monthly supply there, which I think would be my first risk area. This is obviously of interest if we retrace the entire up move. But actually that's possibly could see that getting to 6 month supply. Is that going to be with the US dollar pair moving up, or just the US dollar pair moving down less than Bitcoin? Uncertain. Excuse me, retying my hair. I guess this is starting to look slightly better. It looks so different when you look at it in this view. It's kind of interesting. Like, I can't remember what I probably should look at what the ProShares news was on this, because you know, if this is like next on an ETF list or something like that, then that certainly could be why at least this is held. while I'd still prefer an entry down there, this is worth watching. The longs, I think, actually. Back to the US dollar pair. There's just nothing here I want to long, which makes it really challenging. But yeah, I'll keep looking at this on lower time frames anyway, and if we can actually get it to flip a weekly level or something and actually get a decent green candle close upwards, then maybe there's hope. But we might just need to get, I don't know, they're still holding that little trend line, kind of, meme trend lines. Gotta love a bit of a meme trend line. A lot of consolidation going on, a lot of accumulation. But yeah, I guess, I mean, yeah, so it has held long enough to make me think that there might be hope for it, but I just don't know if it's going to go if the rest of the market doesn't go. It's going to need catalytic news. We should, yeah, probably keep an eye on it. This would be the one I guess I'm more bullish on than anything else. There's at least a few more reasons to make me bullish, but that doesn't mean I don't want a drop first, more of a drop first, and obviously it's going to do what the rest of the market does anyway. But the buybacks might be better on this if the BTC pair is looking better. So it's a bit floating in the middle of nowhere, I guess picking up support from over here. Interesting. Anyway, that's these guys. So yeah, no new entries added on these. Entries stand from how they were before. And you know, I'm just indecisive and I'm just a bit indecisive on these, and it's just too choppy, and I just don't want to give any definitive statements because there's nothing to say other than a sideways chop / down for now. Okay, just do a quick view of where the levels are. Doing that, I'll put a summary on the video so you can show you where my levels are if we have breakouts or drops. So that's that. What have we done? 40 minutes, that's longer than I wanted. These majors, again, hopefully I'll be able to be slightly quicker because I did a bit of bigger update on these more recently. BNB obviously didn't hold my aggressive long, even though it tried to look like it might do something interesting there. Possibly, so all of these now we're going to have to watch for whether the weekly supplies are going to be created. Now 3-day supply. Anything was slightly better on this was this sort of breaking of the trend line, but again it's still just near the top of the range. I'm just going to compare that actually to Link when it was at this point, but Link had the major difference that Link had taken out the low. This has taken out that low but not those lows. Yeah, not something I want to long yet. Would long if it gets here or there. No, more like it would bounce on the 3-day there or something. So let me see what this alert actually is. I think it's the 6-month level, 3-week demand. So this is a 6-month demand there, week 1, but then there's also a 3-week that's much stronger. Again, I don't like it when they don't test other levels because then it makes me nervous that they're going to run through the immediate level and go to the lower one. But either way, I guess the way we have to look at this right now is it hasn't broken out the top of the range, and the supply it's giving us is potentially shortable, at least down to the next daily demand. On the positive side for bulls, we've got the break of the trend line, BTC pair, just short of where I've got alerted 3 months supply. Yeah, BTC pair is not great, having broken, but I guess it's come back up over the green level, but breaking down this consolidation. So we need to see that test in here if it's going to manage to make it through and therefore stay back in range. But I can't say I love it. I'll say I love it, but I also can't say it's awful. So this BNB US dollar pair, that would be the entry on 1 day, 2 day demand, but you know, now the bigger picture entries are all the way down there and everybody would cry if we went there. But similar to length, I don't know, I still look at all these charts and just think, okay, we're holding up here, but I do think people forget that this is a very real possibility. Something like BNB only down like 80% rather than 95%. And I read something that a lot of the volume's gone from BNB now. Sorry, from Binance. It was down to, what was it, 46% or something like that when it was significantly higher before. I don't know where that means it's gone, but okay, so very possibly might create a weekly supply in there. I think it's worth setting an alert on this on the 3 day. So I'm gonna set an alert up here. Listening to a song If I Had $1 Million, which is very apt. So yeah, 3 day, it goes up to the 45k area before dropping a second time, and or if it drops at all, I guess, but that's whether these are going to hold. But now, you know, again, I think I've said before, we're like sort of 5 hits. Or this did actually have a weekly demand and it's come right back through it, so this is just not overly promising at all. Wasn't a good weekly demand, but it's also had a local test on this 3 day, may not even come back there. But those are the entries I'm going to leave in for now anyway. I would delete this if it hits demand first. So that's BNB. So the reason I said I wanted to look at what Link had done. Again, my charts have all gone crazy again. These entries should be hidden, and I feel like maybe I need to go in and just like clean my trading view. I feel like someone's logging in and changing things. Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I'll contact TradingView and find out what the hell's going on. I'm sure I've just hidden my brush. I was looking at up there, which I guess was pretty accurate. Yeah, I don't know why I've still got some of these. Sorry, it's going to have to put up with me just cleaning up my chart while I'm here. I didn't say this stream would be particularly short. slightly OCD way I do this. So I'm just gonna satisfy my OCD before I continue. Don't need to put that one in the wrong place. Disaster. Okay. Some of the other ones, but anyway. Okay, so Link obviously again appeared to be doing something interesting, didn't quite hit my short entry, which is always intensely annoying. 3 week, could create a 3 week supply, but quite a way away. 2 week, weekly, so this already had a weekly supply, which it would run through on the wick. So now a 3 day supply on this as well, not overly surprising. Three day, 2 day, daily. So it's difficult because they've all tested the 3 day on the 2 day, but when it was a 2 day it was tested, immediate test, which makes it slightly more challenging to know whether to put a short entry there. But anyway, Link's looking like it's on the verge of breaking trend. I want to maybe speed up this stream a little bit because I did cover a lot of this previously. And I say that and then I start thinking other things. And so yeah, I was thinking about what BNB looked like. So I guess when this broke major trend, it did consolidate, but not for as long as BNB on top of that trend line. So let me see on BNB. It's a slightly different trend line because this was a trend line all the way from the top on Link. And also BNB sort of essentially down here somewhere, still really close to this range, or still within the range actually, so it might be even that kind of last one that we're looking at, so it's not, let's see how that looked on Link. So on Link it was, charts disappeared. Yeah, Link had made a 3 month demand. So when before that breakout, it had, at this point, it had made a 3 month demand, I think like by a very small amount here. And it came down a little bit into it before pushing really, really hard. Like I said, it had also taken out the low, which BNB hasn't done, and also it was into a better demand than BNB at the lows there. So I need to see if BNB's created that 3 month demand. I don't believe it has, but or if it has, I think it's a lot lower. Anyway, speed up. 3 day supply in there, but still very choppy and messy. 3 day up there that its swing failed, and then it wicked. So I expect this, yeah, I expect this to come lower. It's basically put simply. You can look at a short on this 3 day if you want. Still wish it had gone up to my 4 hour up there. I'm gonna throw in another entry just for the scalps here. And again, whether this test is just sort of more on the premise whether Bitcoin is gonna pump or not. Pump up to 45k before falling. But you know, so this might get a reaction even if it's something like this. risky because it hasn't broken the low yet, but if we're just going to trade in a range here forever, I at least want to be looking at trading the range, because I think it does do that extremely well. Maybe it will just start making a giant range around here on top of the other range. But yeah, nothing new to update there. I've still got the alert for 1 or 3 day demand down here. I still think it could potentially go to 10.578 down there. But yeah, I'll just leave that new alert on 12-hour supply up there. So we've got 2 new alerts on that, and BNB. Let's check that 3-month on BNB. Okay, nice. So it has an old 3-month here, but it's that 6-month that we've got all the way down there, but it's got this old 3-month. So I'm just going to leave that level there in case it gets picked up as support. There's a monthly just underneath that. So that's kind of what it's flipped on that wick. It's not quite the same structure nor anywhere near as strong as Link was, but something for us to watch. ADA, I've said a number of times I wanted to see this drop down to here, and I had this new entry, so let me just see if there's a weekly. So there might be a weekly. 5-day has already been tested, 4-day inside, 3-day has already been tested, and new 3-day, but there's a surprise. So again, this is similar to the structure of the older majors that I was talking about, that we have this immediate one, but for some reason something in me is saying that's too aggressive. Because we've got this higher untested 2-day. Now we're going to get a random pump on this. It's possible, but at least if we end up with another move upward on this, because I remember I didn't particularly like the highs on this, so swing failed a monthly level, but at least hopefully we should get a rejection and then be able to start to see an uptrend like this. So it doesn't hurt to have these entries in, even if I'm not necessarily that bearish on it, which I'm not on ADA. 0.4. Let me just have a quick look at BTC pair on that. Yeah, I'm not overly bearish on this. You know, this does have this daily demand right here, but not a good one. I'd rather, yeah, this was lower in the 3-week as well. And that was very quick on ADA, and now MATIC. Again, similar, like, so you know I'm bullish on this because we've got 6-month demand, but that also doesn't mean we're not going to come very significantly lower in 6-month demand, and that's obviously what's happening now. So 61 fib in this daily is probably the first level that I want to look. Does now have 3-week supply, 2-week supply. Chop is just hideous. This doesn't actually have a new 3-day. I had a 3-day in previously, but the 2-day there hasn't converted to a 3-day. Yeah, so I'm still going to leave this entry up here. I just want a mixture of aggressive and less aggressive. But potentially be, you know, this is just getting shorts off the daily each test. So, still want that a bit lower. I've got 2 things. It's very confusing. And that's kind of through that zone anyway. So yeah, still want to see this just at least a little bit lower, if not a lot lower. BTC pair on this. I think I also. I didn't mind this one actually, but it also has the opportunity to go lower, and again the problem is it's just got all this supply. possible 3 month. Let's just come off for 3 months. So we've got a new 3-week supply. New 3-week supply there. Yeah. So it's not horrendous because it's already at the bottom of the range, and we have swing failed that, but I still just need to start to see some rounding and moving up into here to think this is going to be anything decent. But it does support the 6-month demand potentially on the US dollar pair. It just needs a little bit of time. Time, and again this giant triangle. So that's those. I didn't want to put, should I put any new entries on this? Okay, yeah, so I remember I was reluctant to short this anyway because of the 6-month demand, but I've left that one in there for now. Got that 2-day supply, and then we'll just see, because at least that's at least selling in a bit more of a premium area. Okay, so the summary on this is entries as stands, but I've just added on 3-day and on 8-hour on Link and BNB. Just so it's got some more scalp entries on there, and then ADA and MATIC just leaving as is. So that's those, and finally we have, start with NEAR because so NEAR hit this zone that I wanted, but again remember I didn't particularly like the fact the BTC pair is, well, it's on a demand over here, but it's low time frame there. So again my preference would be lower on the BTC pair, but we are starting to get a bit of a move on the US dollar pair. But it has got a weekly supply, so again I've already got the weekly marked in there for a possible short. Overarchingly we're at a 3-month supply, so again overarchingly I want this down here, but I'm willing to trade and move up to there and then back down to here. If it presents itself, yeah, nothing new to add there, but it's looking slightly better here. It's funny actually, I was looking at this yesterday, I was thinking this was looking the weakest out of all, so I'm kind of interested as to play out on that basis, because if you looked at all of these together, these went up significantly more, but then fell the first opportunity they had, whereas NEAR went up significantly less in the first few candles after the bounce, but has held better, so it's much more sideways, but yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, so nothing new to report on NEAR. Remain with that short entry up there, and you can continue to watch this for longs. If it drops lower, that's the next long entry. Sol, I know a lot of people are wanting to long here, and so wouldn't surprise me now if it's been front run a little bit, but then we also have a weekly, so we have, actually it's not confirmed, so we've got a possible weekly level here that might confirm a supply. 5-day was the array alert that I already had all the way up the top there. Now I've got a 4-day in here as well. Day, 3-day, 2-day, daily. Again, I'm going to stick with the alert all the way up there because I think some people might FOMO into this. I mean, but it looks like now currently it's just rejecting off this weekly level and the trend line. So, you know, if it flips back into this trend line, then we might have a different situation, but for now it has not. What's the BTC pair looking like again? Yeah, I mean holding, but so all of these I would still like to see lower. But you know, they can just go when they want to go. You see, I wanted it there at some stage. Might just be illustrating that just don't get wedded to a coin, because just because we've retraced all this move doesn't mean we're not going to drop lower, because we broke demand here and we haven't really hit a significant support. That's a longer time frame. But yeah, I still feel like you're buying Sol far too high here if you're buying. Could it get another push up to here? Possibly. I suppose that is doubling the price in BTC terms, but is it really high probability? Probably not. Not given this is a monthly supply, although it's flipped a couple. US dollar pair. Yeah, flipped a 2-month level and then a monthly level. But you know, it's at the last supply at the start of the down move, so not high probability to look for lows over there on the daily. So could just be a stop hunt on the daily, but I just think the whole market is not in a place that I want to be longing at the moment, so I'd rather see a much more promising chart that hasn't pumped and doesn't have supply. Yeah, so I'm not going to add anything on this right now. What else have I done? I haven't done Atom yet. So Atom, yeah, similar to MATIC, still in the 6-month demand. Probably going to create a weekly supply as well. 5-day, 4-day, just a whole mess of messiness. So 2-day supply in there. I don't know, this could be an aggressive 2-day because the BTC pair isn't looking great either, which it is not. I can remind myself each of these charts. Yeah, I'm gonna. This one I might put in the most. Actually, no, it's foolish. Sorry, I was gonna say I'll put in the most aggressive one on this 2-day here, but I just can't do that when it's a 6-month demand. It's foolish. So while I want a clean demand entry, I don't want this to happen. Straight through any supply. And because it's so choppy and so many tests on so many different time frames, you know, if you're in this, then that's your first area of resistance, 9.66. You know, if you start seeing demand made on a daily, great, take longs, but not for now. I'm going to keep that up there. I'm just going to keep it far away and not really look at Atom much right now. And DOT. So DOT, again, we have this 3-month zone, so could run from here. We did have a new weekly supply, didn't quite touch that. And there's a 4-day inside it, up there. And I previously had the alert at the 2-day up here. I'm just going to leave that alone. So again, you can sort of see what I mean and why I'm indecisive on BTC as well, because you know I just want these to come a little bit lower to be more confident of an entry, and the same with Bitcoin. If I get fully front run on everything, then so be it, because there'll be other things to get into at a later date. .BTC pair. Yeah, this was better. Yeah, I've commented this before, but again, it's not gone anywhere. It's not made any new demand, so and it's still under this trend line. And probably was the first major supply. And it did break a 3-week supply. So this might pick up. But yeah, it has the opportunity to be potentially slightly more bullish as well. It hasn't gone. It's just a question of whether the whole market holds up to that kind of scrutiny and doesn't just fall off a cliff. I'll see if we get a bit more on this over time. It's a possible long. One of the more promising on the long side. So this, I think, MATIC and Atom, although despite not having low time frame levels, have the 6-month demand. So yeah, that's a quick final summary on this, I guess, before signing off for the evening. So DOT's on a 3-month, Atom's on a 6-month, and we've got MATIC on a 6-month. All the others aren't really on any significant demand, like BNB and Link are holding ranges. ADA's broken down the range. Sol's just simply too high for me to buy, although is holding and actually not looking bad. I just don't want to guess the bottoms on any of them. I think that's what it's kind of coming down to. And I don't want to guess bottoms unless we hit zones that I'm really interested in. So near is the only one we've actually hit a zone I'm particularly interested in. So that, but then also the BTC pair doesn't look good on that. And then the whole market I'm also not convinced about, but certainly keep an eye on near of all of them, I think, because at least that's in a local zone. And then DOT, MATIC and Atom are the kind of biggies from hitting a 3-month, 6-month zone perspective. And I can see ADA is testing an old monthly level, and BNB is like not far off this old 3-monthly level. So it's possible they'll pick up just old supports. You know, there's also a previous high here. Like, there's things like that can happen, and it doesn't have to go to my demands. You know, there are other supports, but I certainly prefer when things do go to my demands. That for me is a much higher probability than just trading a random SR, because that's not how I trade. So anyway, I hope that's some use to you. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat, and I'll try and do some other alts tomorrow probably now, because it's getting late and I'm starving. Yeah, that's it. I don't think there's a couple of new entries, but you can find those yourself at this point.